Ted in the middle.
Ted in the middle.
Ted in the middle, sorry. Sorry.
Oh, you still want you the other side?
That's right. We want Robbie, Ted and then John.
Yes, we've done our captions already.
That stick looks better on the right-hand side.
Well, you drop down.
It's like counting in war, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, alright. Let's try and make it... Should we go in on a wide angle?
Let's do a walking picture here.
Let's turn it into more of a semi-circle.
Rhubarb.
Oh, I tell
nice day. It's going to be a worse day than this, isn't it?
Yes, when did you finish it, Charles?
About the end of 1946.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes, I remember you were senior.
Kingstonian. That's right, you came down to Kingstonian.
Yes, I came down to watch you play football.
In 1948, before I turned out of
Gents, go on straight ahead of you.
Yes.
Oh, you must have liked it.
Robbie,
no,
that's right. Gents, throws and smiles in. Just the expression of the camera.
On towards me, gentlemen.
You want smiles,
Up again.
Yeah.
This way, Trisha.
One more, me, you people waiting for Princess, what they call her, Margaret, coming out of the hospital.
Come over, looking around this way,
just go walking picture.
Come here,
The weather's worse today, you know.
Not mine, it's yours.
Stop smiling, gentlemen. The RAF's going to send you the bill for the plane. I tell you what, it wasn't worth much. They were selling better ones than we were in to the Arabs at that time, for about £1,000 each.
Not worth much now.
All the good ones they were selling. That was why we were flying in a one with a very,
That's why it came down.
yes, very slow rate of climb.
Gents, very last, just walk towards us.
close together, please.
Keep in.
You're walking straight into some horse muck, you are.
Mind the umbrella.
You all stood in it first. Thanks.
Which paper are you from, by the way?
In and out of Oxford.
Have you got back?
And among those farms.
The wrong way.
That's right, you see.
Well,
This was the emergency map, wasn't it? Was this the one, Robbie, that I fished out of the pocket
No.
when you said, anybody got a map?
Okay.
It's cost me 4 and 6.
Did it really? Yeah.
Excuse me, gents.
Yeah.
Can you be looking as if you've just looked at the map?
okay.
No, where my hand is. Can you all look towards my hand?
Yes, that's right.
Ted,
Yes.
this way.
Okay.
Towards my hand.
Oh, yes.
We've got all your eyes in the same place there. Can you all look this way? Yeah, hold your hand down a wee bit. That's blocking the...
That's it, the Pennine Way is up
So
there.
you'd be looking that way.
We'll do that
towards
this
your hand.
afternoon. Just to get warm. Run up grinder up.
Yes.
Manage not much.
Gentlemen, can I just ask you something? BBC Terry, you gentlemen, in just a moment. So I'll ask you the question. Okay, when Arthur's ready. Right, Mr. Robinson, what do you remember of the moments before the crash?
We've been flying in and out of low cloud, intermittent contact with the ground, and then we were completely enveloped in cloud, and that cloud got thicker and thicker and thicker till ahead it was really black. My thought then was emergency turn onto 180 and climb. Whether or not I was able to put that into effect, I don't know. Because the next thing I knew, I was waking up, Ted Croker covering me with my parachute. The aircraft somewhere behind, disintegrated, and thereafter we just lay there for 20 hours waiting till the rescue.
What were your injuries? Because you must have had severe exposure in 20 hours.
I did have both legs broken, right shoulder broken, and my jaw pretty comprehensively shattered. However, because of the cold, I had no pain. It was the cold, terrible cold. Oh dear, when people now talk to me about, isn't it cold? You don't know what cold is. Because none of us were wearing flying gear. But had it not been for Ted Croker, of course, neither John or I would have been here today to tell the tale. He was the John Wayne of the hour.
Mr. Robinson,
most definitely.
Thank you very much indeed. That was fine. You've done it all. Look at me at all times.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay, Martin, we're rolling.
Mr. Dowthwaite, what was your role on the plane?
Well, I was one of obviously two flying officers who were doing a normal map reading exercise under the supervision of Warrant Officer Robinson, who was a navigational instructor pilot.
So what went wrong? Why did the plane crash?
Well, it was a fairly cloudy day, and obviously we set off at about 1,000 feet, and as the ground became higher and the cloud became lower, we had to make height. And I went up to about 1,800 feet when Robinson said, change over now. So I came out of the first pilot's seat, having flown the first leg of the exercise, and Ted Croker got into the seat that I'd vacated, and I sat actually between the two pilots, you know, just at the back with my legs sort of in between the two seats.
So what warning did you have that you were going to crash?
None, because Robinson was doing sort of steep turns, which I thought at the time was to find out our exact position, you see. And I remember Ted sort of turning to me and pretending to bite his nails as if to say, this is a sort of dicey situation, plenty of cloud about, and you know, conditions weren't too good. And the next thing, of course, we woke up on the ground. So we'd flown straight in, so we didn't know. We knew we'd hit high ground. And I remember when I came round, Ted was crouched by the side of me. How long we're unconscious, I don't know. And he said, "Is this a dream or is it real?" And I said, "It's real, right enough." And we had some sort of conversation, excuse me. And he said, "What do we do now?" I said, "Well, you've got to go for help." It was obvious thing. We couldn't lay down with Robbie and I, and he was obviously in a fitter state than we were.
What were your injuries?
Well, I had a compound fracture of the tibia and fibia of the left.
So you couldn't
leg.
walk?
I couldn't
He
walk.
went off for help?
The shin bone was sticking out of my leg, and because I tried to get across after Ted had gone to get near to Robinson, because it was so cold, I thought that perhaps the two of us together would get some sort of mutual warmth out of thing. Although we had been wrapped in the parachutes, which had burst open at impact, and Ted made us sort of as comfortable as he could. I think Robinson was still in some of the wreckage, and I think I'd been thrown a little clear. And I remember Ted then saying, "Which way do I go?" And, well, in the condition I was in, I mean, it could have been anyway, so I just sort of waved a hand as if, you know, this way. And he always said afterwards that he went the other way, but...
What do you remember of that wait? I think it's 20 hours you had to wait. And was it the snow?
It wasn't snow, but it was, I think, the coldest night on record at that time for a good many years, 28th of December, 1945. And it was a very cold night. And Robbie, I know, all through the night appeared to be calling for help in a sort of a weak voice. And I thought, well, it seems a bit silly, really. I mean, nobody's going to hear us up here. And but it sort of went on and on and on all night. So I kept drifting into unconsciousness and coming around and realizing that it was a desperate, cold situation, and then going unconscious again and that sort of thing. And then eventually I felt somebody lifting me. And I remember saying to the chap as they put me on this sort of sledge, you know, I said, because I was wearing a pair of new shoes, you see, and I knew I'd lost them. So I said, "Don't forget my shoes." And he said, "It's all right." He said, "We've got it. We've got your shoe." And they hadn't, unfortunately. Well, they got one, and it was the wrong one. I couldn't wear it, you see. It was the left one they'd got, and it was on my left leg that was injured.
So Ted Croker saved your life?
Among a lot of other things, yes. The 8 pints of blood that I got eventually when there was no blood transfusion service. I went to wait for blood coming in to the hospital, donors to come in to get it. And Doc Crichton, who was in charge of the rescue operation, they couldn't find us for 20 hours, you see, and they found us. I mean, Ted did marvellously to get down in probably the only direction favourable to the rescue, the shortest distance, the only habitation. If it had gone the other way, we'd have all perished.
Right, fine. Mr. Dowthwaite, thanks very much indeed. Okay. And what do you remember of that 20-hour wait whilst Ted Croker was getting help? And what do you remember of that 20-hour wait whilst Ted Croker had gone for help? Okay, do the other one. That way?
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
Okay, Martin.
And what do you remember of the wait in the snow? Oh, no, it wasn't snow, no. What do you remember of the wait whilst Mr. Croker had gone for help? So Ted Croker saved your life. What caused the crash? Okay, that'll do that. I'll just do a nod on that side. Okay, that'll do me.
Three cameras together.
Okay, gents, for a quick we might actually do this.
Let them do it and then we can... That's okay.
Simple, really.
Quite careless. We're getting in there now. He's
not just to lie down. Okay, just keep going, ignore us and walk on past it. Okay, Jen.
Yeah. In either of the what, portal or street, it's nice.
We were going to do it here and get that background, but it's the background's going. Yeah.
Right, where were we? We got, oh, it's through here. No, they're not. They're not going to be content. Thank God. Ted, we'd just like to do a quick still of the three of you. Just on the side. Just over that side or this?
I don't know what to do.
4, 5, 6.
You tell us what you want, lads. Do you want us to actually undo it, or
Yes,
hold
please.
it?
And then if you can just pour it out.
Okay.
But
you haven't won any races, don't spray us.
Right.
250 at 4, isn't it?
I'll try not to kill anybody with it.
John, let it fly.
You
don't want me to do it? No.
Gents, that's great.
That's it, happy. Let's have some smiles, fellas.
Ted, this way. Ted, can you look straight ahead? Yeah. That's great. John, can you look straight ahead? That's great.
Well, I'm looking at you and I'll spill it.
Get it
poured.
Robbie wants to drop more. He's never satisfied.
Just look at that, Ted. Hold the bottle. That's it. And all look round to us. I know it's not the best thing to have to look at. Ted, can you look straight ahead, mate? And John, can you look straight over here? Robbie, that's great.
Could you look at That's it.
We're not going to hold the bottle up.
You're not going to drink it.
Hold the bottle, Ted, a little bit.
We just
hold it, that's it.
You've got to throw it away and smash the glass.
John, you just go in a bit.
Pushing that.
Use your left
Swap hands, that's it.
That's right. How about that?
John, straight ahead.
Go on then.
Yeah.
Gents, that's great. I want a drink of this stuff.
Okay, this way.
Right.
We're rolling. Okay.
It's too noisy.
My pleasure.
I'm rolling that.
Right. Ted, what do you remember moments before the impact?
We had no sense of impact at all. We were just flying along, and we knew that we were in bad weather and that we were in the vicinity of high ground. We knew that much, but we had no sensation of impact. And strangely enough, that's one of the things I've been discussing with my colleagues on this reunion.
And they're calling you the hero.
Well, yes, they do. They.
What about when you went for help? What happened?
Well, I think we were aware, and I was certainly aware, that there was no way that anyone would find us because we didn't know where to look, because we were on an uncharted flight, so we could have been anywhere. So it was quite obvious that unless we could get word to somebody, we were going to be in real trouble, and they were obviously far more seriously injured than I was. So I'd got to make an effort, and fortunately I went off in the right direction.
But with 2 broken ankles, you must have been in great pain.
Yes, I wasn't conscious of a great deal of pain. I was conscious of the ankles being, everything being all wrong, and obviously, unfortunately, being downhill most of the way. Once I got up a small hill, apparently, I then had most of the way downhill. I was able to get on my backside, and from the condition of my kit, when I eventually did get into hospital, it was obvious that I got on my hands and knees and on my backside a lot of the way. But it's self-preservation and staying alive, and I was only 21 years of age, and I was very, very fit. I'd just been playing football over Christmas for Charlton Reserves, and so I was fit.
You've not met your two colleagues since?
No, that's right.
A good reunion?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Funnily enough, I mean, it's nearly it'll be 40 years this year, and yet I could have picked them out of a crowd, no trouble at all. They've aged, we all have, but they're still just the way I remember them. So it's been a wonderful reunion, and it's been very nice to talk over things that have been recollections, but with an awful lot of doubts. And I find, in fact, that the sort of things. I mean, I remember when I sort of first came round. I was lying there, and I said, "Is this a dream?" And I must have, I said it out loud, and then I heard John. My recollection was that I heard John Dowthwaite say, "This isn't a dream; it's happened," and it's exactly what he remembers. They're the conversations. He remembered exactly word for word as I did. That first conversation.
Ted, thanks very much indeed. I think we're almost out of tape, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'll just do well,